Zola Levitt Presents with Dr. Jeffrey Seif and Sandra Levitt. She shall be called woman.
I came forth from a man.
But I found favor with him.
Successful.
And
And true success is not measured in wealth and power, but in the estate of one's heart.
I've never been happier and more
Ever
fulfilled.
hoped for. I raised him up strictly in the faith,
And
the
more.
law and the prophets.
And now I want to give something back. I believe Elohim meant it to be this way.
She's still a cornerstone of wisdom to the family.
But you
And as
are
I
always
see-
in my heart.
This was the second banquet I had prepared for my king and the treacherous man Haman. I was chosen as queen of Persia, but now the lives of my people and of my own were threatened with extinction. I did my best to select the finest food and wine for my enemy. He tricked the king into signing an edict to eradicate the Jews, but he didn't know I was one of them. I had already risked my life once by going before the king uninvited, an act punishable by death. But I found favor with him, and now it was time for me to petition for my people and reveal who I really was. Perhaps Elohim did put me here for such a time as this. For within the moment I pleaded before my king, Haman's fate was already sealed. At the gallows.
A hearty shalom to all of you. Jeffrey Seif here with my friend Sandra Levitt.
Shalom, welcome back. We're looking at a drama of Esther, or Hadassah in Hebrew. Esther, the queen. The queen.
She wasn't always like that, was she?
No, she started out very humble, but
Yes.
I liked it because she was beautiful inside and out.
Yes, and I think what happened to her was very delightful, in fact. And I want you to know that good things can happen in this world. The Lord had providentially, fortuitously shined his light upon her, and her station in life was ratcheted up considerably. She was very fortunate, but she used her influence to a noble end. Would that we all were so minded.
Absolutely, she did. She did exactly what she was supposed to do for such a time as this. We're going to Israel. We're going to watch Jeff teach about Queen Esther. Back after this, she shall be called woman.
It's great to be noticed. It's great to be chosen, isn't it? Little girls grow up wondering who it'll be that they'll spend the rest of their life with. The concept of being chosen factors in the female psyche so very significantly. Not that I know from experience, having raised but boys only, but I know boys, and my boys are on the hunt, looking for that special lady, the one that will get their attention, and then hold it as they make their journey from the womb to the tomb. It's a great story, great to be blessed, great to be noticed, great to be doted upon, great to be counted special. People want it at a certain level, people need it. Some are blessed by it at levels more than others, where they're the object of pampering and attention, the expenditure of resource. You know, in the Bible, the Jewish people are referred to as the chosen people. And by association, the church as well is grafted into that concept. That is, that God has his eye upon these people, referred to as his bride, both in the New Testament sense as well as in the Old Testament as well. His bride, his love, the object of his particular affections. Our story today alights upon Esther, who providentially was brought into the king's presence, and she secured his favor, and her lot in life greatly was enhanced by virtue of her so doing. The king sees her, favors her, and we're told in Esther chapter 2, verse 17, "Va'yehav hamelech et Esther mikol hanoshim." that the king loved her above all women. He noticed that she was particularly beautiful. Beyond that, she had other characteristics that made her altogether desirable. And the net result, again, is that she had come into a fortunate set of circumstances. Some are more fortunate than others. Some are endowed with beauty in excess of others, or so it's perceived. Some come into financial means better than others, or so it is perceived. Of course, it's all relative. There's always someone more beautiful, there's always someone richer, there's always someone who's more powerful. Instead, however, of going after just raw beauty and raw power, the Bible asks a question, and that is, how do we use our influence? I never raised girls, only boys, but if I had daughters, I'd put the question to them, beautiful as they are, how do you want to use that? What do you want to do with that? And we're going to consider that story as we explore women and power in this series on women and the Bible. If God has blessed us, it seems to me good to do more in life than simply seek to be more blessed. In the case of Esther, Mordecai says to her, Umi yodea im le'et kazot. Dear, how do you know that God hasn't done this for you for such a time as this? If I understand him correctly, he's saying, in effect, listen, you have found yourself with a favorable set of circumstances in life. Would you not do well to use your influence now for the betterment of others? This is preferred over forever looking to absorb more and more and more out of life. I think this is the essence of what it is to be a genuinely beautiful human being. That is to say, someone who has power. They come upon it, but they opt to use it for good, as they should, over and against simply looking to leverage more attention, more things, whatever, out of the environment. That individuals can be transformed in this regard is attested in the New Testament, as well as was noted just a moment ago in the Old. In the 16th chapter of the book of Acts, there's an Orthodox rabbi on a journey. Rav Shaul, the Apostle Paul so-called, is traveling about, and he has not found it in his heart to be ministering in Israel proper. He uses his energies to invest himself in expanding the Messiah's kingdom beyond Israel's borders. And this, the apostle to the Gentiles, forever goes into towns and villages, and he finds Jewish synagogues there. And at such a time as this, he's in a place called Philippi. It's a Greco-Roman city, but he happens upon some Jews that are meeting. I want to pick up in chapter 16, verse 13, where it's a Sabbath, and he goes out to, quote, sit down and speak to women that were meeting around the synagogue. He happens upon one in particular, Luke tells us. A certain woman named Lydia heard us, and she was a seller of purple. In noting that she was a seller of purple, this isn't underscoring that if you go into her shop, all she has is purple goods. Actually, there's an expression in Roman culture to wear the purple. This bespeaks those that have means, wealth. Typically, it's an emblem of royalty. And this is a woman who's a seller of purple. She is a fine clothier, and she's a woman of means herself. We're told in the text that the Lord opened her heart to heed the things that were spoken by Paul. This is a woman who's part of Jewish communal life in the Greco-Roman world. Paul, a Jewish rabbi come to faith, is sharing the message of Israel's Messiah, and here in a Roman colony, her heart is opened. A woman of means, and what does she do? We're told in verse 15 that she and her household were baptized. Of course, the mikveh is a ritual bath. It was used for purification purposes in the Jewish world. Individuals were immersed through the mikveh in anticipation of marriage, sacred days. And here now, individuals are baptized in the wake of their responding to the message of Israel's Messiah, the message that the Messiah has come. Now, worthy of note here is that this woman heeds the call, and she invests her energies such that her family now gets caught up in her momentum. But not only that, we're told as well that in the wake of her being baptized, she begged us. Luke is speaking of himself and Paul and those in the party. She says, please, earnestly, she says, please, quote, come to my house and stay. She has a sizable home. She has a successful business. She has influence. And what does she do? She's using it. Could it be that within the sound of my voice there are individuals, women, men, and you count yourself fortunate? Others may well count you fortunate through beauty, through wealth, through where you are in the social ladder. Let me ask you a question. When is enough enough? Let me answer that for you, and that is that if someone really has the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit in their heart, I think we get to the point where the Lord would have us tap on the brakes a little bit. It's not about going faster through life. It's not about going further. One of the things that we learn from Esther, and one of the things that we learn from Lydia, and one of the things that we learn from salvation experience, it's not all about building barns and tearing them down and building bigger barns. They get to a point where we reach a point. When we're a child, we act like a child, we think and we function like one, but then when we mature, we put away childish ways, and we learn it's about loving others, not just absorbing so much of it ourselves. I count myself blessed and ask the question, how can I do well in this world to serve God and others? My prayer is that you would do likewise as we consider the just and equitable use of power and beauty in this our series on women in the Bible.
That's Jeff talking about Lydia and Esther. Esther and Lydia, same kind of woman. God uses everything and everyone to his glory. Lydia was very wealthy, and she used that to further the glory of God. Here Esther was made queen and used that to protect her people. So God uses all of us in our circumstances.
It seems to me that so many have an insatiable appetite. We need more clothes, more wardrobe, more this and more that, more beauty product, more whatever. Yeah. These women were able to put the brakes on and say, enough's enough. I want to use what I'm all about for something beyond what I'm all about.
And recognize that. That was the other part. Lydia recognized who Paul was and recognized the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then here was Esther knowing that she was Jewish, knowing what her roots were, and standing up for it. So those are great women to me.
Yes, they are. And would that more individuals, women and men alike, were minded to perform at that level. Now hear me, it's just not all about you. It's not just all about me. And as Sandra reminded, it's not just about tearing down barns and building bigger barns. It's not all about he who dies with the most toys wins. Right. At the name of the game, we do well to have a life beyond ourselves. And these women do that quite well.
Well, and how satisfied must they have felt knowing they were doing God's work. There's nothing better for me. I know that when I'm in his will and when I'm doing his work, this makes me really happy.
Like we like to pamper ourselves a little. We all have our little niceties, but at the end of the day, that can't be everything.
But it's not. Let's talk about pampering here. We're
going to
go.
How did you talk me into this?
We're going to a spa in Israel. Jeff was such a great guy about this. We put mud all over Jeff and put him in a spa because I really wanted you to feel like what women really go through. It was you were really a good sport.
Yeah, I have a fresh perspective. All this beauty treatment stuff, please.
It was really fun. We had a good time doing it. I think you'll enjoy Jeff in the spa. We're at the Mount Zion Hotel in Jerusalem, Israel, and my friend Jeff is agreed to volunteer to get a mud facial tonight. This is something that probably Esther would have done, preparing to visit her king. We're in a wonderful spa. I'm looking around. There are, looks like Persian lamps. And I think this is going to be something that you'll really enjoy. Jeff?
I hope they like it better than me.
I think I'll like it. This will be great. Women go through a whole lot of things. Think about what Esther went through. She was massaged with myrrh, oil of myrrh, for 6 months, And then she had cosmetics and beauty treatments. Avi is going to put mud on your face, and it's just kind of a feeling of what women might have gone through. We've got some people on the tour with us that are kind of watching us, and we're just going to have a good time with Esther and talking about mud on your face.
So, Avi, make me look better for my wife.
I will.
The mud is warm.
The mud is warm.
Remember that, Esther was massaged, she was taken care of, she was pampered, she was wonderfully treated.
So for my wife, Patty, dear, I'm doing this for you.
All right, Jeff, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, the torture will start now.
Okay, Doc.
Oh, he's massaging. Oh, this is great. The mud is on. We're in a tile spa, so it gets very quiet, very peaceful.
The mud that's full of minerals, and I rub it on the face to get in the skin and under the skin to circulate the blood better, and then to take out all the bad cells from the body because there's so much mineral in the mud.
Is the mud from the Dead Sea?
Of course, in the Dead Sea, and it's a good in quality and full of good things.
What is in it? What is in this mud? Everything, or what's?
There's a lot of salt, a lot of sea minerals, basically, that is very, very tiny, that can go through the skin and take off the whole bad cells and go into the bones and into the muscles and give the muscles and the bones the mineral it need to have.
And you're massaging him as you go.
And I'm massaging it into the skin deep enough to go through it.
Well, he looks like he's enjoying. He's resting a little bit.
All right.
12 months, Esther would have done this. She would have gotten a massage. She would have been pampered. She would have been oil on her face, cosmetics, beauty treatments. This is what she would have done every single day for a year, getting ready to meet her king. I'm reminded of the parallel that we don't have to do the outside mud. We can come to Messiah just the way we are. He knows our hearts. He knows what we look like on the inside. In Esther, it says that she was beautiful in form and in figure. She was lovely to begin with. So the cosmetic treatment probably just enhanced her beauty. She gained favor wherever she went. People loved her. Her heart was good. She was a beautiful, beautiful woman, inside and out. Oh, you're looking good, Jeff. That mud is all over your face. This is great. Oh, this is good. So how often would you do this, Avi?
How often? It's every month. It's like a cosmetic treatment, just natural treatment from the Dead Sea. You need to be around the Dead Sea to have it so often. But if you can do it often as you can, it will be good enough.
How is it feeling, Jeff?
I've never had this feeling before.
But down in the Dead Sea, we go to the Dead Sea, and there are these vats of mud, and people take the mud, they put it all over their bodies, and they go down to the Dead Sea, they wash it off. Their skin is gorgeous. You're not going to believe how gorgeous your skin's going to be.
Well, you're going to send me home to my wife, Patty, and my friends are looking better, huh?
I think so.
It's amazing what a woman will go through.
Yeah.
Esther in the Bible went through this cosmetic treatment for the better part of a year.
Every day for a year. She did something, some kind of cosmetic or massage or special food. She was treated well.
All in the interest of securing the fancy of a male.
Well, but she had one chance. She had one chance to become queen.
Yeah, I think the king saw something in her beyond skin deep. She was beautiful in her own right, but she had an inner beauty that even came forth that wasn't developed through all of this.
And did you know when she went before the king, she wore very little jewelry. Yeah. He saw only her. Yeah. And I think that's such a tale for us that we need to come just before Messiah with ourselves.
Well, I'm more understanding of what a woman goes through, however, after going through this briefly for the first time.
But that's the point. That's the point that I think we wanted people to see, what people would go through to do what they have to do.
Well, just a day's work for a woman to get up in the morning. I'm more sympathetic to the whole thing of putting on makeup, to tell you the truth. For me, it's a quick shave around the neck and I'm
that's
gone.
True. That is true. Women are different than men.
Just to please a male, amazing. Or not, maybe that's overly simplistic, just to feel presentable.
Right, to feel pretty. Yeah. To feel pretty. We're pretty on the inside and pretty on the outside. And that's what it's all about, I guess.
Well, I've learned something here.
Thank you. Thank you for being a good sport. Patty will love it.
Listen, I'll let you know what she says.
Yeah. That's Jeff in the spa. So tell me, what'd you think about it?
Not very much.
I know, it was funny. It was great.
It wasn't my favorite experience, to tell you the truth.
I know you were laying there. It was kind of like if you could get up and got out, you would have gone.
Yeah, I just don't do that sort of thing. I cut my own hair. I'm not given to all that pampering.
No, I know,
sort of
but
business.
that was the whole point, that you felt what she felt. That was the whole point.
In that sense, it amazes me to what a woman goes through. Of course, I see my wife Patty putting on her makeup in the morning and what have you, but there's a lot of energy invested in wanting to do our best, to look our best, to go out there in the world and hope to secure a male's attention. I don't think individuals should do that in order for that. I think we should just want to look our best for ourselves.
Right.
It's amazing what people go through.
I agree, but the visual was good. I liked the visual in it. Hit back after this.
Mounting with wings as eagles, ready to run. With wings as eagles, ready to run the race.
In a moment, we're going to put a wrap on this series. Before doing so, I'd like to underscore the importance of having a biblical worldview. And that's what we wanted to accomplish here. We wanted to visit the Hebrew Bible principally, though not exclusively, and see the kind of images that emerge for a mother, for a woman. We explored a number of venues here, and we hope it's helpful, because it's important for us to learn how to be in this world as men and women, correct?
Well, and that was the point of the whole series, was a guideline, sort of a blueprint of women. We talked about Eve, the wife. What is a wife to do? To be by her husband's side, be next to him. Mother, Hannah, a wonderful mother, devoted mother. These are women that we can aspire to be. Not that they're perfect, but they give us some great guidelines. We talked about the unnamed widow, the faith that she had, We talked about Lois and Eunice. They're wonderful educators of Timothy and his heart and soul. Those were wonderful women. Esther, the queen, the very saved all her people, queen inside and out. Again, just, I think, terrific. And then we talk about Abigail being very, very smart counselor, knew that David was going to be king, knew who he was. So she did well.
I love that the Bible's full of narrative, too. Not just lectures about how to be, but there's stories. Right. And a man and a woman can enter into the world of the stories and get cues for how to be in life.
And also how not to be.
Correct.
We looked at Delilah, who was the worst possible thing that could happen to a man, to have a horrible woman in his life.
Yes. I think it's tragic. So many individuals are rudderless. And what I want to do is speak to you for a moment. If you find yourself disoriented in life, I want you to know that I believe that you could open up the pages of scriptures and you can get a cue for how to be in life. But it's not just an intellectual endeavor. Let me encourage you at the first to open up your heart to the reality that sin makes a separation between men and women and God. And the way that you rectify that is by appealing to the one who came to be an offering for sin, and that's Jesus. One can be forgiven by virtue of reaching up to him, and out into the future, there can be the forgiveness of sin, the filling with the Holy Spirit, and a new life. And with that new life available, we can open up the Bible and find an instruction manual here replete with many stories to help us come to terms with who we ought to be in the world. Oh, I wish you would do that right now. This is biblical broadcasting, and we do it not to make it interesting. We're not just interested in information, we're interested in transformation. And would that you would respond, we would indeed be pleased.
I really could not have said it any better, Jeff. We are sinners, and it's like we need to acknowledge that sin, and that Yeshua HaMashiach died for those sins. We are cleansed, we are pure again, and that we put on the robe of righteousness. We are the queen of the king.
Right. A man can learn how to be in life, start all over again, and a woman can learn as well.
Amen.
All people, there's new
Amen.
beginnings.
Amen. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting Zola Levitt Ministries. And as you go, Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
The Levitt Letter. This free publication includes Bible lessons, insightful news commentary, Hebrew lessons, and more. Call 1-800-WONDERS. That's 1-800-966-3377. Or write to Zola, Box 12268, Dallas, Texas 75225. You can also see our Levitt letters, TV programs, and national airing schedule at www.levitt.com. Please remember, Zola Levitt Ministries depends on tax-deductible donations from viewers like you. This has been a paid program brought to you by Zola Levitt Ministries.